Djokovic, for me, is the greatest player ever played the game. And then the second place comes to Federer and Nadal. They tied for the second place.
I was able to explain to him that these people are not against you. They're only for Roger Federer.
He achieved everything he could dream of, became the greatest of all times in an era which everybody said was the toughest era in the history with Roger and Rafa.
Bjorn Borg, the ice-cold king of Wimbledon, and Boris Becker, the youngest champion in history, have both shared why Novak Djokovic is better than Nadal and Federer. From his unmatched consistency, to his mental toughness, to rewriting record books. Here's what the game's icons revealed about Novak's legacy.
Djokovic, for me, is the greatest player ever played the game. And then the second place comes to Federer and Nadal. They tied for the second place. He's 38 years old. I mean, it's going to be tough with Sinner, Alcaraz, and some other players too, but still, he can do it. And still, I hope he has the motivation to play at least another year with a rivalry with Djokovic, Federer, Nadal. I mean, unbelievable matches. Then they said, when they stepped away, they said, what's going to happen with tennis today? Now you have these two great players, Sinner and Alcaraz. The matches they play is unbelievable. The tennis they play is unbelievable. And it's so great for tennis as a sport.
Roger was always his number one nemesis, especially at Wimbledon. A, because he was so good, and B, because he was so loved. So you always play against Roger Federer and the center court. And I was able to explain to him that these people are not against you. They're only for Roger Federer. So don't take it personal. And then try harder to find a way for them to love you eventually. We really bonded over the time. We call each other family, and we're very careful with that word. But Novak's family story is much bigger because it comes from a very difficult country, difficult family background, and to overcome all this and win 24 majors and just laugh every record in the face is because of his spirit. It's because of his character and his personality. And last but not least, he's getting the respect he deserves.
But not everyone agrees. John McEnroe, who never shy to speak his mind, has a different opinion. For him, greatness isn't just numbers. It's also the style, the flair, and the battles.
I've watched tennis for 50 years, longer in a way. I mean, I idolized Rod. I just said that. I got to play against Bjorn Borg, Jimmy Connors, Yvonne Leno, my three greatest rivals. Along came these nobodies. What's her name? Becker, Edberg, Agassi, Sampras. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then to top it off, you get Roger, Rafa, and Novak. And you're like, I'm looking at the three greatest players that ever lived. And suddenly, somehow, along comes this other guy from Spain. Remember seeing him, he was probably 17. Hey, this guy's got some talent. That guy's pretty quick out there. I never in my wildest dreams, I'll tell you, of all the players I've ever watched, at this age, I've never seen a player this good, this complete, the last 2-3 years. And with that damn smile that you have, I'm very jealous of that, okay?
And the blonde hair.
It's just, well, the blonde hair's, I don't know about that one, but whatever he wants, I'm happy with. Thank God for Carlos Alcaraz, what he's bringing to the table. I have a tennis academy the last 15 years, and the young kids, they always want, like you said, emulate the big boys. And I'm hoping that they're going to look at Carlos and what he does and how he loves to be aggressive and move forward, because we lost a lot of that. You don't see the volleying that much, but I think that's going to change because of him. So you talk about a breath of fresh air when we desperately needed it, when we thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? These three guys are finished. 2 quit and Novak looks human all of a sudden. So to have him and Yannick come in and now the other guys got to chase and try to catch up, it's really awesome.
At the moment, clearly there is Carlos, Yannick above everybody. Just look at the results. Not only the way they play tennis, but the way they play and the domination they have within the whole crowd of all the other players. Then you have Novak alone there. He doesn't have the level in this past year to beat them, but he's always there, always. And at the same time, you see that Carlos and Yannick keep progressing all the time. Look at the progress of Carlos between Wimbledon and the US Open, and listen to what Yannick says right after his final. Is already thinking about solutions to beat Carlos next time and where he needs to progress. And that's why the champions are different. It's one of the things that make them champions, is that they never standing still. 2 years ago, Novak is on the top of the world. Of course, he's the greatest of all time, and then it will remain until maybe one day someone proves him wrong. But he was the best player in the world by far. he was winning 3 Grand Slams out of 4, playing the final of the 4th. He was the guy. And he was saying 36 is the new 26. Like, my body's in perfect shape and I have no issues there. And today he's saying exactly the opposite 2 years later. And actually it happened even in a few months, because from there, being on the top of the world, a few months later, he starts to lose against those 2 guys, Yannick and Carlos. And now what is he saying? He's saying my body is not strong enough to fight those 2 guys in Grand Slams in 5 sets.
I lost 3 out of 4 slams in semis against these guys. They're just too good, playing on a really high level. Yeah, best of 5 makes it very, very difficult for me to play them, particularly if it's like the end stages of the Grand Slam. I can do only as much as I can do, and it will be very difficult for me in the future to overcome the hurdle of Sinner, Alcaraz in the best of 5 on the Grand Slams.
And we've seen it, half injured, maybe in Roland Garros, Wimbledon, half injured or injured, and then he feels very tired after only 2 sets against Carlos at the US Open. He's coming from my body's perfect to my body's weak compared to those 2 guys because of the age. I mean, I don't know if it's the case or not, but what I feel is that he believes it. And just the fact that he believes that is already, I would say, so different from the way he was thinking before. Before, he was clearly not at the level of the 2 others, which were Roger and Rafa, when he was a bit younger. But he was saying, I'm going to be better than them. And now he's saying, they're better than me in 5 sets. With my body, he didn't say it that way, but clearly meant I have no chance. Not, I have to figure it out. I have to find solutions. But I think the door is closed now. So, it's his number one strength all his career was that he never took no for an answer. And when everybody was saying you have no chance, he was saying, I'm going to make it, because he was believing it deep inside. And I feel probably because he achieved everything he wanted to achieve in his career, he doesn't have that anymore. And because he doesn't have it anymore, the body breaks. The body shows signs of weaknesses that he was not showing before. Remember when he was young, a few times during matches, he was showing weakness, physical weakness, injury, and some people were saying, oh, he's faking it. He was finding ways to win like this. He never thought, okay, I have a problem. He always thought, I will find solutions. I see more a change of mindset that has consequences on his physical than a change of physical, because he started to lose against them literally 3 months at the Australian Open after playing one of the best seasons of his career with, again, 3 Grand Slam titles and 1 final. And the big question is, how long is he going to stay on tour with the feeling that he cannot beat the 2 other guys and he's going to keep losing in semifinals of Grand Slams? I don't think he's going to play long like that. I think, first of all, again, he achieved everything he could dream of in his career. Became the greatest of all times in an era which everybody said was the toughest era in the history with Roger and Rafa, not to name Andy Murray and others, by the way. He achieved everything. So I feel that something broke the motivation, the drive that made him as the greatest of all times is not here anymore. And he kind of accepts the domination of Yannick and Carlos. How long is he going to stay in that position? I don't think long. I think he still likes to be there because I think he probably wants to find a great connection with the fans, which he starts to have. It was difficult while Rafa and Roger were at the top because they had such a strong connection that it was depriving him from having that position and that connection. But I think now, even though Carlos and Yannick are really loved, I think that people realize what he has achieved, start to know him better. He shows also more of himself. And I think he starts to have a great connection with the fans. And I think I feel, I can be wrong, but I feel that's one of the reasons why he's still here. Because definitely the drive doesn't look like what it was before. I don't think the record of 109 tournaments that Jimmy Connors has, he has 100, is something that bothers him at all. I think when you are the ones who holds the more Grand Slam titles, the more number of weeks at number 1, the more Masters 1000, there will always be a record you don't have. But what was very important for him was to be recognized as the greatest, as that was